Hey guys, Paul here again. So today I wanted to talk about an alternative Yu-Gi-Oh format that I think a lot of you guys would really enjoy playing. The reason why is because obviously the current Yu-Gi-Oh kind of climate, the competitive climate, is a bit of a mess. There's tier elements, there's sprites, there's like weird stuff like Runic, there's Mystic Mine, all these things to deal with, and then it feels like with each new set, the power creep just ramps up and up. There's Kashtira, there's Bestial, and it's just a lot. Like, honestly, if you're a player who's maybe on a little bit more casual side, I think that this is something that would be good news to you. And it's actually a format that Konami did make themselves and you might have heard of, but probably not because they have not done a great job with advertising. And that is the Heart of the Underdog format. So let's take a quick look. The reason I'm talking about this is because I saw this tweet a couple of weeks ago from Jeff Jones. For those of you guys who don't know, he is a sort of pro Yu-Gi-Oh player, I guess, of the past. He's won a number of, like YCS events and he's like an innovator and all these great things. Well, anyways, he tweets about getting or winning his Heart of the Underdog tournament. So he says, thanks to the help of Crystal Masters, Ryan Levine, and Jesse Cotton, I went undefeated and won our $1,000 Underdog tournament with Crystal Beast. Now, this might come as a bit of a shock to people, the idea of Crystal Beast winning like a big tournament in 2022. What? Sure, they got new support, but like, it can't be strong enough to beat like competitive decks, right? At least not normally. Well, he had a $1,000 Heart of the Underdog tournament at his local card shop, and that's actually how it's supposed to work. So before I get into some of the details of like what all won and like topped and what the rules were, I did want to let you guys just know that the actual official rules for Heart of the Underdog are on the official Yu-Gi-Oh site. So we'll just quickly go through them. So Heart of the Underdog is an alternate format for local tournaments that's offered at OTS stores. It's designed to encourage duelists to flex their deck building skills in a fun and creative way. It's primarily intended to be fun and casual rather than competitive, allowing different ways to enjoy participating in the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG. Heart of the Underdog requires duelists to build a deck using a deck type that is not prominent in the current metagame. Kind of funny to hear Konami using the word metagame, kind of acknowledging that there is like a meta to all of this. The final determination of whether deck type is allowed at the discretion of the OTS, so make sure you reach out to your OTS before building your Heart of the Underdog deck. This is actually one of several different alternative formats that Yu-Gi-Oh offers. You can find others on the site, but this is the one that I think is probably has the potential to pick up the most steam. So, at this tournament, he says that the top 8 was Crystal Beast, Labyrinth, DDDs, B Troopers, Lunalights, 60 card Chaos Zombie Pile, and Kaiju Crusadia. So right off the bat, right, this is like exciting. I mean, like, listen to that top 8, right? Like that's just so much diversity there. Lots of fan favorite things like Crystal Beast, DDDs, Lunalights, and then also just things that you wouldn't expect to see, like the Labyrinth deck. I've actually been playing that deck myself, and it's definitely nowhere near strong enough to deal with the common competitive threats you might find. And like things like Chaos Zombie Pile makes me almost feel like I'm back in like 2011 or something. So, lots of cool, just underrated strategies here. And that was like the top 8 of a tournament like this. So I was curious and I asked, okay, what was the cutoff for this event? Like, what decks and strategies were explicitly not allowed? And so he shared with me this image and also says that, well, first of all, let's go through the decks, right? So, this did not allow the entire Tier Elements archetype, sprites, Marincess, all that stuff. Additionally, the things that were banned were Adamancipators, the Adventure Token Engine, Branded or Albaz, Despia, Dogmatica, Drytron, Floowandereeze, Invoked, Mathmech, Punk, Rocket and Boral, Runic, Sky Striker, Sword Soul, Phantom Knights, Therion, Topologic, and Virtual World. And he says that on top of this, individual cards were banned as well. Cards like Access Code Talker, Barrier Statues, Vanity Monsters, and just most cards that say your opponent cannot activate or special summon. So, already off the bat, I think that this is a wonderful format. One of the tricky things about doing these sorts of fun deck tournaments in general is that you do have to kind of come to a consensus with your local scene on what is and isn't allowed. And so that's always going to be a little tricky. I've made videos about that in the past because, what I consider to be fun, you might not consider to be fun if I'm, running a certain engine in my otherwise casual deck. Like, if my Dark Magician deck runs DPE and like stuff, is that like really so hard to say, but I think that what he has here is really good. I think it's a great starting point, and it's sort of a format that I hope can become somewhat standardized across card shops. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that it was really fun. I actually mentioned it here. It just seems like something that it would be neat to see other card shops do this. And so I asked a little bit more about it. I asked, like, would you say there were any anomalies that sort of slipped through the cracks? And somebody who I'm assuming also played at this tournament says Labyrinth and Cosmo were really good. DDD was untouched too, but I think people just didn't want to learn how to play it. And we also weren't using the new ban list, so things like Chaos Ruler and Red Reboot were legal. So they're kind of just saying here that there are definitely, you know, places that this rule set could be patched up, and of course it's going to like go with whatever the normal ban list is. But I really have to say that I just think that this is wonderful. So this is something that I hope more people can try out at their local card shop. I really, really, really strongly suggest that if you guys have a local scene, you know, bring this up, bring this format up. Just because like I said, like power creep's crazy right now, and I feel like modern Yu-Gi-Oh is just a lot to keep up with, and this feels so much more fun because there's just a chance for your fun decks to actually make a dent. Some of the decks that I think I would play if I was like, you know, in this sort of a format is I noticed that Exosister is not on this list, so that's kind of cool. I really like the Exosister archetype. I've been playing Labyrinth a lot lately. I'd love to see if my Scareclaw deck could sort of make a dent here. I know Scareclaw's on the weaker side, although like it's not as bad I think as people say it is. And also, there's one other deck. Witchcrafters, they're supposed to be getting new support, and Magnificent Mavens, so, you know, like, that's something that I would play. There's so many decks and, like, stuff that just will not get representation in the current metagame, but could be easily played in a format like this, and I just feel like that is good. And I hope that if people can bring this sort of thing up at their local card shop, you know, just suggest this rule set just off the bat, right? And, you know, you can, of course, add in like other archetypes as they come out. Like, I feel like maybe, you know, Bestial might need to be like added to this list, for instance. But like, take this image, just take whatever he's using here and just show this to your local scene, your local card shop, like whoever kind of runs or plans your tournaments, and try to get it off the ground. I know that there are other alternative formats that exist. I know people talk about, you know, like there's GOAT, which is sort of a Time Wizard format. Technically, Konami has made some sort of announcement around that. And then there are people who play like Trinity format, which is a custom thing. I think, though, that this Heart of the Underdog stuff is probably the closest we're going to get to something that like is an agreed upon alternate format and a larger goal that I would love the community to try to do. I don't know if I could spearhead this initiative, but I wonder like what do people think of community wide just adopting something like a official, unofficial, official Heart of the Underdog, like, you know, meta, like what is banned, what isn't. And that's something that I sort of want to hear from you guys in the comments. What cards do you think should also be on this list of not allowed cards, or what decks should like also be on this list of not allowed decks? Like I said, I think that Bestial and Kastura probably just need to be on here off the jump. And just looking along here, I'm trying to think if there's anything that they maybe missed that I would think of. I mean, I feel like this kind of covers it, especially now that like Halka Fibrax is banned. I don't see anything that feels too unfair. I'm assuming that when he says that, you know, cards that say like your opponent can't activate, maybe they banned like Dimension Shifter, perhaps. Not entirely sure. Like where hand traps and stuff fall into this definitely relies on, you know, your kind of that's open to interpretation, as well as, you know, the more powerful blowout cards like Evenly, Lightning Storm. I'm not sure exactly where those stand, and that's something that, you know, people would just have to figure out. But I think that there's just a lot of good happening here, so I really, really want to see more people take advantage of this format, try it out, ask people at your local card shop if that's something they're interested in doing, and let me know what decks you think would work best here. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. Hopefully it's something that can be, you know, become more widespread and catch on, and Konami might see it and start implementing it at like YCS events or in regionals perhaps as like a public event. All right, it's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Fast turn.